Hi everybody. Very nice to be here, and I think we are going to be talking about a very interesting uh, topic today. And I know it's something that is being very widely used, very widely reported, and therefore we need to be a little more clear about exactly what we are talking about. So, artificial intelligence today is thought to be everything. So, and everybody claims that what they are doing is artificial intelligence. And we all know that it is a little, we need to define it a little better. And at the same time, we have to understand that what is driving artificial intelligence is the data that is provided to it, right? Obviously, the algorithm cannot do anything on its own without having a very clean and a huge amount of data to work on. So the topic today that we are talking about is very relevant. We are talking about how this data-led approach can help artificial intelligence further support our businesses, how they can scale up the business. And therefore, I think what is important today is to understand how this data is collected, managed, analyzed, and how are these applications used by the industry as the key differentiator. So there are various aspects from real-time decision making to breakthrough research to better customer service. There are various aspects on which artificial intelligence is supporting us. So we are, deploying this technology in very, very effective ways, and it is deployed differently in different industries. So before we start the discussion, I would request the panelists to very briefly, maybe in 30, 40 seconds each, please introduce yourself with your organization and your overall, work experience, qualifications, etc. Should we start with Krishnamurthy, Rajesh? And also please say how would you like to be addressed, Krishna or Rajesh?
Krishnamurthy should be fine.
Great.
Yeah. So thanks, Rajiv. My name is Krishnamurthy Rajesh, and currently I am associated with ICRA. Overall, I have around 20 years of experience in multiple industry, namely BFSI, transportation, logistics, FMCG, and consulting. So my core forte is, traditional IT along with the industry 4.0, in which I do have multiple certifications starting from Stanford to, the AIs of the world, as well as I'm a advanced RPA developer. So with strong acumen in the business transformation and cybersecurity space.
Great. Irshad, can we move to you?
Yeah, thanks, Rajiv. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, everyone. This is Irshad. I'm having 20 plus years of technology experience. Currently, I'm associated with the consulting firm Shardul, Amarchand, Mangaldas. It's India's largest law firm. Prior to that, I have worked with manufacturing, pharmaceutical, BFSI in India and as well as outside, and in some of the Fortune 10 and 100 companies. I've been into the technology, the enterprise IT, and I've worked on various sort of technologies, be it infrastructure, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and data analytics, and a whole sort of the current modern technologies. I've done my MBA in finance and international business. I'm also pursuing a Stanford LEAD program. Yeah, that's it about me. Thanks.
Great. Sonali?
Hello all. First of all, I'm honored to be a part of this discussion. So I'm Sonali, as Mr. Shioni just mentioned. So I'm heading the data analytics in IDBI Bank. I had, apart from BFSI experience, I had a brief stint in telecom and retail in a way, Johnson Johnson and Vodafone. Apart from that, I was in Citi, HSBC, Bank of America, and right now I'm setting up. I have in fact set up the AI and ML shop in a vertical in IDBI. Apart from my MBA from I'm Calcutta plus statistics master, I have also done senior management from Oxford. So yeah, almost 20 years of experience, all in analytics, from traditional analytics to right now the new age analytics, I can say.
Oh, that's
Thank
great.
you.
That's great. Vidya?
Thanks for this opportunity. Good evening, everybody. I am a data evangelist. I am Vidya Veeraraghavan. I work for Standard Chartered Bank at the moment. I have almost 2 decades of corporate experience. I specialize in banking and analytics domain. I'm in a leadership position with Standard Chartered Bank, playing as a vice president, head of analytics, financial markets operations. In my earlier roles, I've worked with Citi for almost 13 years in operations and fraud analytics. I love solving business problems by providing data-driven solutions through big data technologies, data science, and analytics storytelling. That's about me.
Great. So let me also introduce myself. I have more than 24 years of experience in a CIO role in various agencies. The last 12 years was with Ernst & Young as the CIO for the India practice. Before that, I was with Hughes Software Systems, HCL Infosystems, and the Delhi Stock Exchange. But before my CIO experience, I was in the defense. I was in the Navy for 20 years, took premature retirement as a commander. Basically a BTech from BHU and MTech from IIT Kanpur. That's my profile. So let's start. And I think I'm really excited with this topic because, one understands the huge amount of benefits which industries are gaining because of artificial intelligence and other related technologies. So one, as I said earlier, since this is a broad term, we would really like to understand it a little better and say, how do you and your industry understand artificial intelligence? How do you think that it helps or it may help? You may not have actually started doing it, but where you feel that you can deploy this technology, and also in terms of the data that is required to make it effective. So starting with Irshad, would you like to explain a little bit and tell us how you think or what your understanding is?
Sure, Rajiv. First and foremost, thanks for inviting me to this important discussion with the esteemed panelists. And this is really a relevant question. Before I get to this, let me take a step back and provide few insights of how AI is making an impact. So some of the research I was reading, it says that the AI value creation by 2030 would be around $13 trillion. And all the industries will actually have AI use cases and it will actually positively impact the business. I was also reading the McKinsey report where it says AI would also have an impact on the job market, both on the positive as well as negative. So by 2030, it says that it will displace in the around 400 to 800 million jobs, while it will also go and create new jobs in the tune of 550 to around 900 millions. So, and that research also interestingly said that all the routine and repetitive jobs will have the largest impact. Now coming back to the question, Rajiv, so AI technology certainly has a potential to deliver business impact and in all the areas. Say, when we talk about NLP technology, so people are using NLP technologies. We are seeing these being used day in, day out, which helps to build and increase the customer connect, which actually helps in doing increasing the customer satisfaction. We're also seeing the data science initiatives getting implemented with predictive and prescriptive analysis that actually helps and recommend business to take better decisions. So certainly more and more use cases are getting evolved. And let me give you some perspective on the law technologies where I belongs to for the last 1.5 year. There are certain areas where I clearly see AI can have a great impact, both with respect to productivity, efficiency, as well as saving the cost. The first example is the lawyers as a whole, they spend a lot of time in working on the documents. So first and foremost, when they receive the documents, they need to perform huge amount of due diligence, and these documents itself comes in the tune of GBs. So it is a very well time consuming process. By using AI technologies, this sort of due diligence work can be simply done real quickly, and it has a potential to save around 60 to 70% of their time in performing manual due diligence process. The other example I would like to quote is once this due diligence is done and all other sort of work is done, then the final step is to send the document to the client. And when this document were to be sent, before that, it needs to be thoroughly, scanned in the sense making sure that it is error-free, it is being proofreaded well, so that it doesn't have any errors at all. So here again, I see AI can really play a key role in making sure that the entire proofreading process can be displaced by the AI. And instead of humans going and looking at each and every sentence and paragraphs and spotting the errors with respect to be it the law related or in general English related. So all of those can be very well done by the AI technologies, and we use some of these, and we have clearly seen the benefits that these technologies are helping us. So let me end my long explanation here, Rajiv. Hope I was able to contribute something here. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely excellent. I think that brings us to a stage where we start focusing on the data part. And, we all know that, being from the technology background, all of us understand that AI will be as good as the data. So therefore, let me move to Sonali. And Sonali, if you can, tell us a little bit about what are the sources of the data, and how do you ensure that the data is accurate, clean? Let's talk about that aspect a little bit more now.
Thank you so much for asking this question. This is really interesting. The pace of the change that has occurred last decade has left many institutions, not only in bank, many other institutions also, feeling ambitious and ambiguous at the same time. I must say this on how best to embrace the digital future. I'm just talking about a little bit of past. So let me talk about banks. So when the pandemic hit last 1.5 2 years back, so most financial institutions entered a crisis mode of building or expanding a digital capability that allowed customer to bank without branches. I don't think any of us actually has visited bank. I mean, apart from that, I work in a bank, that is a separate thing. So we had visited branches. So at this point of time, data was the main savior. So I can say in India, pandemic forced financial institution to adapt and expand digital faster. So again, let me take a step back. Why and what is the data is being collected? What is the source of the data? As Mr. Shani just mentioned, how we generally have a clean data, better data to actually move ahead. So what is I mean, why we are collecting so much of data, and how much data is too much data? I can let's discuss that also. So to coming to the first point, so need for real time, the data is collection is first point is need for real time. So gone are those days where we used to wait for money to go from one bank to other bank. Let's consider we have to transfer to our friends or to our own account also, or to friends or family. So generally we transfer the money and check. I mean, right now we are checking from one screen to other screen whether the my money has reached or not. I mean, maybe couple of years back it used to take 1 or 2 days time. So we are that impatient right now. So I mean, we need real time, everything real time. So both trust and mistrust has increased, so has the demand of the service. So for a customer, the expectation is not only to facilitate transaction, but consult them with wealth and protection matter. Basically, all available product for that customer. So be it customer financial behavior, you can say understanding their need, driving growth and profitability, know about the available product that customer is eligible for. Finally, the risk assessment. So it is the first thing is the need for real time. So second, the interconnected ecosystem. So whenever we are buying something, let's consider I'm buying grocery or maybe a cloth. I don't go to a bank website to buy all this. I go to an e-commerce website such as Amazon. Amazon, any Flipkart, or any these are the big name. I'm just talking about GeoMart, whatever. Big giants to do some purchase. But the customer expect the bank to remain available in the background to facilitate their transaction. So here comes the concept of open banking. I'll touch upon a little bit of that as well. So this needs has forced bank to be in the retail side, maybe in everywhere. So as a bank, you have to be in the e-commerce side and the retail side. Name any side, the bank has to be there. And finally, the seamless banking. I'm coming back home in the late night and I want to do my FD or renew maybe my car insurance or something at the 12 o'clock in the night. I'm doing that in my system. So seamless banking is another thing. So to sum it up, why we collect so much of data and what is the need for is like need for real time action, interconnected ecosystem, and seamless banking. So right now, apps and chatbots are providing 24/7 personalized seamless omni channel whichever system or maybe any device, wherever you are, you can just operate it. So all these are living with huge data footprints as well as being fed with huge amount of data. So these are bank data, I can say, but we also feed the system with lots of complementary data, you can say. So for better or comprehensive analysis, you can say complementary data is really important. So right now we don't have only personal data, we have lots of non-personal data. I'll give you an example. We do lots of personal loan, gold loan, you can say, in a bank. So for gold loan, let's say I want to take a gold loan and my geography is rural India, where the gold loan is like prominent. So bank knows my age, my loan, what is my income and all those things. But non-personal data is which geography I'm in the sowing season. Let's say I'm a farmer. In the sowing season, generally I give my gold to bank and get the money for 3-4 months or 5-6 months. Generally gold loans are like small term loans, and I take the loan and go for the sowing season. Okay, so both personal non-personal data we collect public credit registry data, social media data, grievances data, NCLT, GST, EPFO, all types of bills, water bill, power bill, everything. Coming to finally, and the most important data is like e-commerce data, retail side data, my affluency factor. So all banks now these days are collecting all this data. So finally, coming to the point, as Mr. Siani asked, how will we know like the data is a clean data, good data, or not? Not a clean data. How we are going to go ahead? So data, generally we get a clean data, a simple data from the bank core system, I can say. But having said this, now these days, and not now these days, generally also, the core data, let's consider for a public sector private, public sector come private type of bank, like the bank I work on. So it takes time to actually get updated the address in a bank system. Generally, if I change my address, I don't go to bank within 6 months, 7 months. If it is not required, I don't go to bank to change my address. My income information, occupation, I don't think in India very few people, educated people, generally give their occupation. Very little people, the occupation is not a very right information in the bank. So even if we have a clean data in our core banking system, these data are missing. Lots of data are missing. So most of the case data set collected during the further research are usually not very enriched. So we have to have a enriched data as well, as I mentioned. So complementary data we collect. So data cleaning approach, if you ask me, not cleaning, in fact, to have a better data. So we should have a standardized process. I'll take a couple of points. To mention couple of points, standardize your process, design and update regular data dictionary. create a data governance policy, have a data governance council who is going to take care of all these things. Designate data stewards, business steward leads, all those, so that they can take care of the data. Robust data structure. This is really important. Maybe with the discussion when we go ahead, we'll talk about robust data structure, how it is important. Validate the data accuracy, monitor the errors, removal of unwanted duplicate data records, you can say, handling missing data, as I just mentioned, communicate to the team about the data. So what it does, basically improved decision making driven by lesser variability in the result. Why it is important? The clean data. Revenue booster, obviously high conversion rate. Cost effectiveness, cost per lead would be reduced. Finally, maybe you can say increased productivity through RPA. So yeah, I can just mention this about data.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I mean, you brought in a number of important points, and I'd request Vidya to add to this and also tell us your experience in terms of what are the challenges that you faced in practical collecting the data, making sure that it is clean, making sure that there are less number of errors. Obviously, some errors are always there, but how do you then verify and ensure not just the accuracy, but also the validity and how that data can be deployed or used in the artificial intelligence tool?
Sure. That's a very interesting question, because AI is fully, in fact, when you look at AI at the core itself is, the idea of building machines which are capable of thinking like humans. So in order to emulate what the humans do, there's a lot of data that is required for the AI to, go ahead and start building something and also showing results. So when we talk about data, why data is important, I believe, Sonali was able to give us what kind of data we collect and why the data is important, because a lot of missing data can obviously create a lot of, deficiencies in the results. In AI, basically, we need three types of data. One is the visual data, which is basically your digital images, your videos, your other visual inputs. So this is to take the action or make some personalized, hyper-personalized recommendations to your customers. Mostly computer vision is the corresponding AI technology, the visual data. In banking, fraud control, authentication, data extraction, and more to enhance your customer experience. You improve your security, and you can also increase operational efficiency with these. Next comes the textual data, which is gathered via camera. You can you're using your scanners or digital documents. I believe Irshad was talking about lots of documents that you have to read before you start off with a case. Similarly, in banking, we use a lot of digital documents. Textual data is basically an organized linguistic relevant characters, words, sentences, concepts. So natural language processing is its corresponding AI technology. And the third type of data, which is also very important for AI, is the numerical data. And it's made up of figures and measurements gathered through machines, your IoT sensors, or even people, right? So driver analysis is one of the technology which applies to determine why, to answer the question why, which are the key metrics which are driving my decisions. So all these data are primarily the key inputs for AI. And in banking, we see a lot of uses for this, especially detecting frauds, your cybersecurity, enhancing your customer experience by hyper-personalizing the recommendations or preempting some defects which are going to happen, and proactively reach out to the customer or show some digital ways to move forward with their queries. You're tracking your customer behavior, because transactional data is a huge data source for banking, because you have your established clientele and you have all your systems capturing each and every moment of this customer when it comes to banking footprint. And all these are primarily to analyze why the customer is behaving in a certain way. So it's your behavioral analysis which happens on the customer's footprint with you, and also major use is on the analyzing customers' credit histories to, you want to predict risk, based on which you can allot the loans, and the creditworthiness of the client or the customer is analyzed. So all these are dependent on huge sets of data, between 6 months and even sometimes it's 6 years to predict the overall demographic changes or demographic behavior of the client customer patterns. So when it comes to the difficulties that we go through, is that how you collect the data. So every single touch point with the customer, or the customer is giving you some data, you do have to have the space, and you should pick and choose the relevant data to hold it with yourself so that you can use it whenever there is a AI model is getting built to take care of your loans processing, your underwriting before the loans processing. And if the collection is happening, but how much of the data, like Sonali mentioned, how much of data is actually relevant data? How much should you keep? And where do you keep? How do you access? Which of your employees can access that? And does your AI model really dependent on a very smaller piece of data, or do you have to merge the data from various systems? Because banks have various systems for different products and different customer segments, including the demographic. Like in Bangladesh, there is a system which is which is in use, but which cannot be used in India. And there is a lot of data collected by Korea, which cannot be passed on to India. There's Pakistan, which is a lot of limitations that we have when we talk about customers' data. So how do you access this data? This is a very important question that we try to answer. And how do you manage the governance? Sonali also touched upon the governance part, which is very, very important, because being a banking in the banking sector, you are regulated by the regulators. You are regulated by the associations. So you cannot step outside the line. So how do you keep yourself safeguarded from any kind of regulatory requirements, or moving from regulatory to the other crimes which happen? How do you safeguard your customers' data? How do you safeguard your employees from stepping over the line to fulfill the duties? Are you keeping compliance check across? All these depends on the how do you give the access to the data. So finally, we talked about the data collection. How do you store the data and how do you access the data? Finally, you talk about the quality of data that you want to use in your particular use case, because not every use case can utilize all the data points that you have, and it may not be relevant. Sometimes it also leads you or misleads you, right? So you have to pick and choose your attributes and relevant to your use case, and find a way to put that into your model. So recently I saw this a very quirky analysis that was circulating in LinkedIn. It's the a difference between a prince and also a not so popular prince. So if you look at I'm sure by the look of Sonali's face, so I can see that it is quite popular now. Everybody would have seen it. It is quite interesting to see, if you see very few attributes you take and compare, both these princes are princes, but really not, not in the same, we wouldn't sell the same things to these people, right? So there's a lot of utility of data. The quality is very, very important. And how do you utilize that in your models, whether it is accurate, whether it is actually usable to your artificial intelligence models or not? So that's my.
Great. I think I'm learning a lot. So very interesting. And there are certain aspects which, yes, we don't think about in our day-to-day life, but you understand once you get into the details. And as you're explaining, yes, the banking sector is definitely relying a lot on data and also generating a lot of data. So now, as coming to Krishnamurthy, I know that the work that you're doing, basically, whatever I understand, depends a lot on data, right? I mean, it's all based, that's the core part of your whole business that you're doing. So maybe you can add to what the other panelists have spoken. Also, maybe give some specific cases where you face challenges in actually getting the data and making sure that the data is not manipulated, or with so much of fraud happening these days, you could also have cases where people purposely manipulate data, and then so you get a totally incorrect sort of a rating that you come out with. So over to you, Krishnamurthy.
Thanks a lot, Rajiv. Before I start, I just wanted to put a disclaimer. Whatever I'm going to discuss would be purely on my personal capability. It is nothing to do with the official, and my whatever discussion or whatever views I have cannot be taken as an organization perspective. And also,
Right.
being in a regulated industry, I might not be in a position to go ahead and discuss something which we are doing or which we are having a plan. However, given a scenario like what is generally is happening around the businesses, and with my experience, I can put across certain points which can be true to in current scenario as well.
Right, right.
So,
Let me assure you that we are all here in our personal capacities, not representing any organization as such. So we're talking, even your experience in previous organizations is very valuable, and you can talk about that.
yeah, thanks a lot, Rajiv. So, in fact, thanks a lot for bringing a couple of points, Sonali and Vidya, because when I heard Sonali talking about, data sets and collection of the data, and that is the actual challenges which any organization is going through when they are collecting the data. And when Vidya has put across saying that how the data can be taken further in terms of enrichment and final output, that is a valuable insight. So today, what is happening is there is a huge amount of the data already available. What is missing is the right set of information. Cutting down the noise from my data to enrich the information is a major challenge most of the organizations are facing through. So now, like, we are into a digital age. However, there are certain scenarios where the organizations are going through a rough patch because of the older technology, legacy system, not having adequate processes in place, and also the dynamic of the industry and the global circumstances which one is going through. So in my view, like, if we are talking about in terms of decisioning making output for any data, first and foremost, what is required is a collaboration and understanding what is the end result one is looking for. And today the day has gone by where we were talking about creating a boundaries between a industry or segment, saying that I'm manufacturing, I'm retail, I'm healthcare. So now we have come to a stage where collaboration is a main mantra to get a successful insight from a data coming in. Take an example of a financial or banking sector. Suppose if they wanted to push a product to a rural or like even into the farmers, so probably they would also like to have some information related to the agriculture, which can have their own set of data. So now, like, the industry is going towards one step above than a localization of their segment to have the information coming from a different sources, enriching it with, the artificial intelligence, you can say, or NLP of the world to get a meaningful insight. So today, if you talk about AI, still we are into the weak AI. We have not gone to a mature level or in an advanced stage. Still, it is a supportive stage where we are going ahead and we are doing it. So which means that the AI is doing something which we are asking them to do. Or the ML is also not mature to a level where it can give an autonomous output. It could be a multiple reason behind it. So I don't want to get into it. But end of the day, what happens is when you talk about in terms of data, the data touch point can be multiple. It can be a structured data, it can be unstructured data, it can be social data, it can be also the data which we don't know exists, but still there are. So when you talk about actual implementation of AI, the method of AI is to collect those touch points and bring it to the same level to get an output. So in my view, if you really wanted to, take a power of AI for a particular industry, then what is required is you need to create a roadmap and also try to understand what are the different touch points, what should I say, collapsing the boundaries or the segment in which you are. So you have to think one level above to have the data, and certain data are on fly, because today we are talking about a SaaS based system where you do not actually have the data with you. So you get the data as and when you want. So first and foremost is you need to understand from where the data I need to have it, what is the maturity of the data, and what is the final output which I need to have in form of information to have it moving forward. So again, as I said, in terms of the financials or maybe the banking segment, there's a lot of activity which can be done through the data in terms of fraud detection and control, in terms of real-time customer engagement, and also multiple product push which can come in terms of using this all this technology like IoT of the world or AI of the world. And also when the industry is moving towards cloud, I will go back to one step and say that probably this is the right time when we need to move into edge and fog computing before we come to a cloud, so that the endpoint related challenges can be mitigated, which is in terms of latency, which is in terms of security, which is in terms of personalization of service. For an example, if I want to cater to a customer who is into a village, so obviously a person who is making a call will be having a communication or language barrier. But if that AI is capable enough to understand that this particular person belongs to this geography and what sentiment he is coming in from, so accordingly that push can be given to for the product for mutual benefit. Similarly, when we talk about in terms of cyber security or in terms of other activities also, lot of things happen in terms of sentimental value, like the way that I behave, the way that I react to a scenario, or the way that I actually work. Then a lot of activity can be taken into that, and that can be converted into business. Because when I see the pandemic has actually created a lot of opportunity, and the organizations are catching up. If this pandemic wouldn't have been there, believe me, this digital transformation which we are talking about probably would have taken much more time, because for a digital transformation, the first is digitization. And once we talked about this particular pandemic, the first thing the most of the organization have done is to move into a digitization phase. And once they have gone into digitization phase, then they talked about how to do an analysis of that digitized data to get a meaningful insight. So that would be my view.
Great. I think you've brought in the next topic very smoothly, now moving into the impact of the pandemic. I mean, that's something which is on everybody's mind today. A lot of businesses have actually found it very difficult to cope up and manage their operations and day-to-day working in the pandemic. On the other side, it also threw up a lot of opportunities. A lot of new businesses came up. A lot of businesses did manage to scale up fast, and therefore it was very useful for that business. So maybe Irshad, you're in a unique type of a business. I know I remember having worked with Shardul in 1995. He helped us draft the agreement between Wipro and Delhi Stock Exchange for the online trading system. So that's a field where every comma and every full stop is so significant that even a small mistake of missing out a comma changes the meaning of the legal clause totally. So in such a case, and especially with working from home and interaction becoming more difficult, what was the impact of the pandemic, and how did you, your organization, face it? What were the challenges, and what solutions did you deploy?
Sure. So certainly I cannot comment on that Wipro contract. That was beyond my ability. I wasn't working. I did not started my career in 1995. But yeah, this pandemic I've seen. So I joined this firm right when the pandemic struck on 20th March, and 22nd March the lockdown was imposed in the country. So when I joined the firm, luckily the firm already had the systems which enabled everybody to work from home. So we had all the remote VPN technologies, Citrix-based technologies, so that people could actually work. But there were a lot of other elements which used to happen in the office. Those were also needs to be brought in. So first and foremost was this unified communication. How do we ensure that people are collaborating not just on voice, video, but also on documents? Also, they are collaborating, they are sharing information. So that was one step that we immediately took to ensure that people can collaborate with each other, and then they can feel connected. We also introduced technologies which could help them to do co-authoring of the documents at the same time. You also touch based upon some learning thing, right? So that contact was related to some learning. So learning is also one of the crucial aspect in the consulting firm, and especially in our firm. So if those learnings are happening in the offices, how do we make sure those learnings now happens when people are not working in the office? So we we quickly worked on with multiple partners to build a platform for online learning management systems, which was completely built, which was completely enabled with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that way we could mitigate that risk of learning as well, and we started imparting all the learnings via online. And then down the road, we also implemented few more technologies that could help them to do proofreading, like I mentioned earlier, some of the other sophisticated technologies which could actually help ease their work. And our transformation journey is still continuing. We do have a very strong roadmap for next couple of years. Those are still continuing, and we keep touching each and every aspect, be it our lawyers, be it our other respective departments. And we see all of these cutting edge technologies added upon by AI is certainly helping us across. Yeah, thanks.
Great. I think one of the sectors which really handled the pandemic very well, I would say, is the banking sector. And, I'm really impressed by the way the banks have been working. Of course, one does find a lot of people in the branches even now. And I think the banking sector was open throughout the pandemic. So Vidya, coming back to you, just, if you could tell us about how has this sector reacted, how they and adapted to the issues that came up because of the pandemic?
Sure. This is a topic which has awed a lot of people. I would say innovation and inventions are mother of necessity, right? So, or the other way around, necessity is the mother of innovation. So, due to pandemic, every single bank saw a surge in borrowers, and assessing their creditworthiness with newer underwriting models using machine learning with minimal credit histories, along with a good risk appetite, was very, very critical. This is one of the events. I'll talk about one more event, which actually had a lot of impact because of COVID. First one is the borrowers coming into coming to the bank asking for more money, or because they lost their jobs, or probably they have been benched for some time. It was a lot of it was totally a risky situation for the banks. In spite of that, we were able to do it, and the ultimate goal was to increase the approval rates. Because of the surge, you can't say that I don't have people, I don't have the necessary ways to look at your loan proposal, because the moment you delay it, the client or the customer will hop on to another bank with probably a higher risk appetite or a faster turnaround time. So you have to be on your toes, and banks would really put on their toes. And this also has to eliminate the gender bias, because you're using a machine learning or an AI model to decide who should get the loan and who should not. There is always an element of bias based on your gender, your race, your age, or any other characteristics for that matter, whether you're working, not working, all those categories. It basically, the goal was to eliminate the bias and making more inclusive and unbiased credit decisions, and ensuring the machine learning models were transparent and explainable, because a lot of regulations came around, the explainability also. So the other area where the banks had a tough time was on the cybercrime, the cybersecurity. I have noted down a couple of points on the statistics which we saw during the COVID pandemic. Cybercrime is actually 600% up due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This was, this was the time, very vulnerable time, when the entire world was standstill. The cybercrime was surging up. Remote work, that increased the data breaches by almost $137,000. This is a statistics shared by IBM. More than 500,000 Zoom users' accounts were compromised and sold in the dark web. All of us know about that. It was quite a hot topic, right after the pandemic stopped. And $3.86 million were the global average cost for the data breach. This was another statistic which was shared by the IBM. But we all know that cost of recovery from all these data breaches is often multiple times more than what you actually lose on the breach itself. And according to Identity Theft Resource Center, ITRC, the number of data breaches publicly reported so far in 2020 and 2021 is really something which has exceeded the number. In fact, 2021's number was exceeding the 2020, and it was almost taken as it is still this by this end of month we will know how many more breaches were reported. But this is a record-break year for the entire data breaches put together. During pandemic, even the Interpol had issued a warning worldwide for an increase in cybercrime, and it was not a joke. It was really a big threat across all the banking sectors, and everybody had to be on their toes, gear up their security in such a way that more and more sophisticated ways of threats were coming in, and a lot of attacks were happening. And large banking and financial institutions found out a better way to handle this, I would say. They have started co-creating solutions with the fintechs who are specializing in the cybersecurity space and investing more and more into these organizations who can help us curtail, because cybercrime is not just data breach or it doesn't stop there. It leads to a lot of other issues. Like human trafficking, drug trafficking, terrorism, political corruption. All these are funded by the amounts which the banks lose in these kind of fraud. Banks are partnering more and more with the fintechs. One of the examples that I can think of is Silent Aid. They have AI solutions which has been shared with 70 other countries. It's prevalent in a large setups. And it actually ensures the banks, they don't have to create everything on their own. The banks don't have to start in reinventing the wheel. Fintechs like Silent Aid, they have their ready-made AI solutions, which can help the larger setup also to meet their regulatory requirements, be the regulatory requirements or even the transactions that the customers are making. They need to have the confidence that the bank is going to safeguard my money. It is not going to let me down. So that kind of confidence we can only get when the AI solutions in this particular cyberspace is very robust. AI can help build, a good, I would say, secure application development, and it can help build your accurate decision making, your fraud detection. It can be very, very fast. It can have even proactive protection, and it improves the automation and response also. So the response time is faster. Normally the statistics says it takes around 207 days to even detect a breach, because it doesn't happen that I was hacked today and tomorrow I'm my account is blank. No, they take it is a very sophisticated model on its own, and they take around 200 to 200 days to start releasing that data and actually misusing that, and the banks are they're not aware of it. So it's very essential, especially now, since most of the banks are going through the digital transformation, like Krishna had mentioned. It's going in breakneck speed. So a lot of us are moving in our infrastructures to hybrid clouds. We have to secure our data. It also has to secure the infrastructure itself. So AI is definitely helping there. It has speed up the process with the banks, because these were all 5-year, 10-year plans before, but now it has become like you have to implement them in 5 weeks or 7 weeks, not more than that. So we have come up with a lot of creative solutions there, partnering with the fintechs and increasing the investments and see how we can be more robust. So I think we are there, but still the journey is long.
Yeah, that's true. So I think you covered a very interesting aspect of speeding up and scaling up very fast. And that's really what this technology has helped business to do. So I don't want to overshoot the time. So we have maybe another 7-8 minutes to go. So what I would request is very, very specific examples where this tool has been used to either scale up the business or open up a totally new business opportunity, right? So starting with Sonali, maybe a couple of minutes, and you can talk of specific examples. Again, not very specific to any company or a particular bank or a particular industry. Whatever you comes to your mind where this has worked.
Okay, let me give you a very specific example.
Right.
Um, I see. A segmentation is a very basic thing in any of the industry. May it be banking, may it be maybe any maybe it be Amazon, wherever you can think of. Okay, so right now it is hyper personalization. It is not about like initially like couple of years back in any bank. I'm talking about let's go to 5, 7 years, 8 years back. It was like a high net worth. Medium net worth, low net worth, HNI, or maybe a NRI customer, something like that. So right now I mean, let me talk about my bank also. It is like 150 micro segments, and that has been further segmented into 750 micro segmentation. So we have segment manager to actually focus on, I mean, micro segments, and they have to enhance the value of that micro segments. Okay, so it is not easy. It is not manually possible to just design micro segment like that. I mean, on a Excel or maybe in any software. Okay, so let me start with the most fundamentally at backbone. It is like. The segments are developed on the asset relationship, profitability, life stage, behavior. I think you have touched upon the behavioral aspect. So, which helps us identify extremely precise and targetable segments. So, we are able to create very small behavioral financial bubble, I can say, around each customer. So, each customer sometimes is a segment for us. So, then we connect small bubbles to different chunks to create micro segments. Then the segment automatically generate through optimized tree. I mean, I'm getting a little bit into technical. So so we have micro segments exist for us. So I'll give an example. So during pandemic, so why we are talking about a micro segment which name we have given as a low value youth. If you hear this name, a low value youth, it is not interesting for anyone how much benefit you are going to reap out of a low value youth customer. But during pandemic, so I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, everyone was working from home, everyone's kids working, I mean, studying from home. So people bought lots of smart devices like cheaper data, phone with data, a tab, laptop, all those things. So we have actually created a a campaign for this low value youth to for this uh, consumer good, low value consumer good. And trust me, it was a big hit for us, which we never thought like we'll target this segmentation and ever get any profit out of it. And actually we have overshoot whatever profitability we were supposed to, I mean, we had estimated to get in 2 months. Within couple of weeks, we have overshoot the this low value consumer good personal loan, and it was a big hit, I can say. So this is an example, I can say, out of nowhere from a low value youth we got a huge profitability out of that segment, and it is all because of AI and ML model, I can say. AI we have used for a voice blast and vernacular language, as I think Vidya mentioned. If I'm not sure, Vidya mentioned, like I mean, they understand or not the language wherever we are actually sending the message. So we used vernacular language and voice blast through AI, and lots of different behavioral segmentation has been used here. So it was a quite hit for us during pandemic for this product, I can say. This is, I just touched upon a little bit of marketing model. So if you have
Oh,
time, maybe later we can discuss many different models, maybe a risk or maybe different models. So yeah, specific example in a short I can talk about this, I say.
that's great. I think, yeah, definitely very interesting and worth getting into more detail on a one-on-one basis. Maybe we can discuss exactly what you did, and
Sure.
sounds very, very interesting. I was not really aware how effectively this technology has been used. So maybe Krishnamurthy, in conclusion, a few minutes, would you like to talk about some specific examples?
Yeah, in fact, I can specifically talk about the challenges which is coming out because of the pandemic. One,
Yeah.
when that industries are going towards the digital transformation, the same time the same digital transformation is used against the industries also. So one of the major point which Vidya has clearly mentioned is related to the cybersecurity aspect, because the more you try to do a AI or NLP sort of scenario, then the same thing is going against you as well. So in current scenario, we have also implemented a lot of AI ML sort of scenario for business need, which I will not go into, but definitely I will touch upon on security aspects, because when we have gone off the radar, when we got hit by this big buzz called pandemic. So till today, we are able to manage the entire show from home, meeting all the regulatory requirement, meeting all the cybersecurity aspects. And because we are also highly regulated by the industry, so we are also need to be compliant from different aspects. Because now when you talk about innovation and doing something new, it always comes out with a challenge. The challenge is you need to think from a multiple aspect, saying that if you are taking one step ahead, then what are the different options where that one step can be taken in a negative way for you itself by someone else. So that is something one need to look upon, which we have done. And I can say that most of the organization, if you talk about today, I will always say that information security is one's action, but everyone's responsibility. By saying that, the collaboration and also understanding not only your business, but also the business which is there in the ecosystem from where you are connecting, by whether you are knowingly or unknowingly, will definitely give you an edge to have always one step ahead than others. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Information security, and now with data privacy also coming in, I think that's an aspect which is becoming more and more important now, with the law also very soon going to be, this act becoming a law. So that really will affect all our lives significantly. Irshad, would you like to give any concluding examples or any comments?
Yeah, thanks, Rajiv. I think you brought a very interesting point with respect to AI and data privacy. So data privacy, you're right, it's right on the corner. It's been discussed in the parliament. Depending on the outcome, it may actually have some implications. Say, for example, I'll give you one simple example. If I go and open one bank account, there is a possibility that at the back end, the bank is running an artificial intelligence algorithms looking at my data sets that I have provided in my bank form information. It may recommend to various other teams in the bank, hey, looks like you should get in touch with him for credit card offers, or ask him to get the loan, and all of that. Now today, because the privacy regulation is not that much stringent, so these things are still possible. But assuming if the data privacy prohibits you to not share these informations unless my consent has been taken, then that means it will actually have a very wide impact on all the applications that today have been built, and everybody will have to really go and look at each of those use cases once again. Yeah, that's a short example I wanted to say and conclude this. Thanks.
Yeah, Rajiv, I just want to add one thing to what Irshad has said. Now, we are also talking about this regulation in silos with the different countries or different geographical location. And like,
Right.
as you very well said, that we will also be having soon this Data Protection Act in line to what the GDPR of the world and other people they are talking about. But what is more important is in terms of inter-geographical communication and the collaboration. That is when the actual the privacy and the security part will come into a picture. Till you don't do it, if you still go ahead and have it in isolation, I don't think that this might work out. Given a scenario like today's world, if you talk about hacking sort of thing, in today's world, if you talk about the ransomware is available as part of the subscription. So like this, there's a lot of thing which is there, and unless and until you collaborate and have a transparency, this might be still long way to go.
Right. I think we are out of time, but I really feel that we are just getting into the discussion. So we are not really through or finishing the discussion. maybe let us connect separately offline and continue this discussion sometime again when we get an opportunity. My best wishes. I think in conclusion, what I would like to say is that we've covered very, very significant and very new type of aspects to this topic. And I never really thought that we would cover this much in depth. This is a short time that we had. Thanks to Tech Plus Media for the opportunity. And thank you, everybody. My best wishes to everybody. Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.